Mel Gibson was once one of Hollywood's heavy hitters, an Oscar-winning director, an action movie legend. With a fortune-topping $400 million and properties stretching from Malibu to Costa Rica. But don't let that shiny exterior fool you. This is also a man who was branded Hollywood's most hated figure, who lost his sterling reputation and saw the entire industry turn its back on him after a string of shocking scandals, from domestic violence and racial slurs to alcoholism and some of the costliest divorces in history. So how could someone like that stage a comeback so powerful it earned him another Oscar nomination, all while living a life of unparalleled luxury? Mel Gibson's story isn't just about being a movie star. It's about crashing down and rising again. It's a journey that'll keep you glued to the screen. Folks, Mel Gibson was born into a struggling family of 11 siblings in New York. In 1968, after his father won $145,000 in a workplace accident lawsuit, the whole family left America to start fresh in Australia. No one could have guessed that decision would spark the journey of an unknown boy becoming one of Hollywood's richest and most controversial stars. Mel Columcille Gerard Gibson came into the world on the 3rd of January, 1956, in Peekskill, New York, the sixth child in a poor Catholic family with 11 kids. Their rickety home sat right by the train tracks, so cramped that 3 or 4 kids shared a single thin mattress. Meals were hasty boiled beans. Meat was a rare treat. His parents, Hutton and Ann, bickered weekly over electric and gas bills. It seemed like just another hardscrabble post-war childhood. But in 1968, a sudden decision changed the family's fate. Mel's father won that lawsuit, netting $145,000 worth over $1.3 million today, instead of buying a house or investing. Hutton did something no one expected. He used nearly all the money to move the family to Australia. Not to get rich, but to keep his eldest son from being drafted into the Vietnam War. Leaving America for a strange new country left Mel feeling unmoored from a kid in a familiar, if poor, American neighborhood. He had to adjust to a new culture, new accents, new friends, and the wary glances of local kids. He once admitted, "Back then, I didn't belong anywhere not quite American anymore, but not yet Australian either." In West Pymble, Sydney. Mel attended St. Leo's College, a strict Catholic school run by Christian brothers, where he slowly found confidence through school plays. It was there he discovered he could become someone else just by stepping onto a stage. Mel's childhood wasn't a peaceful one. It was crowded, uprooted, and quietly lonely. But in those very years, the seeds of an actor, one who dig deep into his inner world, began to grow. No one could have imagined that this boy, adrift between 2 continents with nothing but silence and a pensive stare, would break into Hollywood in a way no one saw coming, with a bruised face and a chance that seemed meant for someone else. Folks, just days before his first ever audition, Mel Gibson got beaten up so badly his face was swollen beyond recognition. Yet, that very look landed him the role that changed his life, taking him from an unknown student in Sydney to a global action star, pulling in multi-million-dollar paychecks. But the path from a random bar brawl to Hollywood's bright lights wasn't paved with roses. Was it pure luck? Or the first sign of a talent too big to ignore? In the tough days of scraping by in a cramped Sydney apartment, Mel Gibson often wondered, "What am I doing here?" The sixth of 11 kids, he was now hustling odd jobs to make ends meet, washing dishes, hauling cargo, cleaning warehouses. The dream of art stood in stark contrast to a gritty reality. Sometimes, in a dusty corner of his tiny room, he'd read classic plays to keep that dream from fading. From 1974 to 1977, Mel studied at Australia's National Institute of Dramatic Art. In class, he felt like an outsider, clumsy, hot-tempered, never sticking to the script, surrounded by sharp, polished classmates who strode confidently across the stage. Mel had something they didn't, eyes that could tell a story. The turning point came out of nowhere. After a bar fight left him with a swollen face and a split lip, Mel only went to the Mad Max audition in 1979 to support a friend. But director George Miller was captivated by his wild appearance. "You're Max," Miller said after a brief pause, and fate took over from there. Made on a shoestring budget of $400,000, Mad Max became a global phenomenon, grossing over $100 million. Mel earned $15,000, but more importantly, he gained something money couldn't buy, a ticket to Hollywood. Still, skeptics circled. To many, Mel was just that lucky Aussie. But The Road Warrior in 1981 shut them up. With minimal dialogue and no gimmicks, just those piercing eyes and a dust-covered face, Mel became the face of post-apocalyptic cinema. By 1985, starring alongside Tina Turner in Beyond Thunderdome, he pocketed over $1 million, a huge leap from his first role's meager thousands. Mel wasn't just an actor, he was the emblem of a generation. Lethal Weapon in 1987 sealed his place in the world's eyes as Martin Riggs, a reckless cop carrying deep emotional scars. Mel helped the film rake in $120 million. His take $5 million, not just cash, but proof that Hollywood was finally taking him seriously. During this time, Mel started grappling with the temptations and pressures of fame. The media began to pry, and directors expected more to the world. He was a success, but deep down, Mel knew the real journey was only beginning. He'd proven his talent on screen, but behind the camera, Mel was starting a new game, one where money, power, and passion collided. He grew up in poverty, sharing a single bed and meager meals to feed a family of 11. Now, he stands on his own private island, gazing out at the deep blue ocean like a king. Mel Gibson achieved what few would dare to dream: writing, directing, and producing films that brought home Oscar glory and hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. But behind that dazzling success, is Mel Gibson's real life as easy as it seems? After Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson shifted from acting to directing and producing, not just to make money, but to control his artistic vision. Braveheart in 1995 proved it: 5 Oscars, $210 million in box office receipts, and $30 million in profit for Mel as William Wallace. Mel faced death to speak of freedom, and in real life, he was fighting for the right to create art his way. Not satisfied, The Passion of the Christ in 2004 was a financial explosion. Rejected by Hollywood for its heavy religious themes, Mel poured $30 million of his own money into the project. Initial backlash was fierce, but the film grossed $611 million, netting Mel a personal profit of $300 to $475 million. It remains the biggest solo filmmaking venture of all time. With each hit, Mel's fame and fortune multiplied, but instead of basking in Los Angeles penthouse parties, he retreated to Mago Island, a private paradise he bought in 2004 for $15 million to live close to nature. Still, not everyone bought that Mel was driven purely by art. As wealth poured into lavish estates worldwide, was it passion or vanity? After his string of triumphs, Mel Gibson expanded his empire with major real estate investments. In 1994, he bought Old Mill Farm in Greenwich, Connecticut, for $9 million, a sprawling English-style estate covering nearly 30 hectares. The Grand Tudor mansion featured stables, a man-made lake, and meticulously trimmed gardens straight out of a fairy tale. Mel hosted elegant dinners under crystal chandeliers, with menus crafted by his personal chef. In 2007, he sold it for $40 million, a deal that quadrupled his investment. In 2008, he spent $11.5 million on a Malibu, California villa perched on a hill with panoramic Pacific Ocean views. The home boasted a private recording studio, an infinity pool, a wine cellar, and top-of-the-line security. Though damaged in the 2025 Palisades wildfire, many priceless antiques, including a Steinway piano Mel played on moonlit nights, were saved. The press called it a symbol of luxury, tested by fire and surviving. In Costa Rica, he owns a tropical retreat with 3 villas nestled between dense jungle and pristine beaches. Praised by Architectural Digest as the perfect hideaway for a solitary king, it features a private helipad, a wood-paneled personal library, an outdoor cinema, a volcanic stone spa, and infinity pools overlooking the ocean. Mel has hosted close friends for barbecues under the stars, complete with his own aged wine and vintage acoustic guitars. But his most remarkable property is Mago Island in Fiji, a private island spanning over 2,000 hectares. Purchased for $15 million in 2004, Mel kept it largely untouched. With no resorts or tourists, a simple wooden house amid coconut groves is where he lived alone for months during his scandals. It's a place no one visits, and the only spot where he can truly hear himself think. For a man who once squeezed into a crowded New York home, owning an entire island is the clearest proof of the extraordinary journey Mel has traveled. Beyond his stunning real estate, Mel Gibson's car collection is a dream lineup, reflecting both his refined taste and bold personality. Leading the pack is a Maserati Quattroporte, worth about $200,000, a symbol of Italian speed and understated elegance, customized with cognac leather interiors, a tailored sound system, and a personalized MG license plate. It's pure Mel. Next is a Mercedes-Benz CLS 500, a four-door coupe valued at around $90,000, used for major Hollywood events. Then there's a silver Smart Fort Woo, a modest $15,500 car that amused the press when Mel drove it to film sets, a reminder of his grounded, humorous side. Mel's also been spotted in an armored Cadillac Escalade, an SUV worth over $120,000. Favored by Hollywood's elite for its blend of luxury and protection, equipped with satellite communication and bulletproof glass. It hints at the safety concerns he faced during his scandal-plagued years. Beyond cars, Mel holds a private pilot's license and once owned a Bell 206 Jet Ranger helicopter, priced at about $700,000, used for trips to Mago Island or his Costa Rica retreat. Each flight was logged in a flight journal. He always carried a keepsake of the freedom and control he's chased. Notably, Mel showcased a collection of vintage motorcycles in an interview, housed in a dedicated garage. From classic Harley-Davidsons to a Triumph Bonneville worth up to $30,000 each. Every bike was hand-picked, meticulously maintained, and tied to memories of cross-country rides or far-flung film shoots. Despite all the glitz and lavish assets, Mel Gibson's lifestyle might surprise you. He's not the type of star chasing flashy parties or living for the spotlight. Instead, he finds peace in nature, music, and his close-knit family. In recent years, he's rarely seen at big Hollywood galas. He spends much of his time at his Costa Rica retreat or Mago Island, where he farms, rides horses, and occasionally writes scripts. He once told an interviewer, "There's something real about the sound of ocean waves and nighttime crickets that I can't find in Beverly Hills." Mel's also a known animal lover, having cared for dozens of dogs, cats, and even horses at his Malibu property. He once spent over $250,000 building a state-of-the-art stable with a sunlit grooming area and natural ventilation. Mornings often start with horseback rides or long hikes. Evenings find him strumming a guitar, reading, or listening to classical music. Despite his millions, Mel chooses a grounded, almost reclusive life. One habit he's kept from his poorer days is cooking. Those close to him say he loves preparing traditional Irish dishes, a nod to his immigrant mother, and often cooks for big family holidays. In an era where stars flaunt their status on social media, Mel Gibson opts for quiet authenticity, setting him apart. No need for constant limelight. He's respected for living life on his own terms. After years of battling in film and weathering personal storms, family has become Mel Gibson's strongest and most enduring anchor. Mel was married to Robin Moore for 31 years, a woman who stood by him from his pre-fame days. Wed in 1980, they raised 7 children, living privately in Australia and later the United States. Their 2011 divorce, one of Hollywood's priciest, with a $400 million settlement, didn't erase their bond. Mel has often called Robin a great friend who helped him through his darkest times. From that marriage, Mel has a large family, with kids spread between Australia and America. Some have followed his artistic path, while others live out of the public eye. Despite a hectic career and personal upheavals, Mel strives to stay connected, attending family events, taking group vacations, or simply checking in with regular calls. A new chapter began in 2014 when he started dating Rosalind Ross, a screenwriter 34 years his junior. They've kept their relationship low-key, rarely appearing publicly, and welcomed their son, Lars Gerard Gibson, in 2017. By all accounts, Rosalind has been the steadying force that helped Mel regain balance after years of emotional turmoil, bringing back a peace he'd lost. Now, no longer hounded by the press, Mel devotes much of his time to family, especially his youngest, Lars. He's often seen strolling with Lars in Malibu, playing in the garden, or riding a mini motorbike in the backyard. In recent interviews, Mel put it simply, "I don't need to be loved like I used to. I just need to be loved right by the people who really matter." From a childhood of want to a sprawling family across 2 continents, Mel Gibson now knows happiness isn't in fame, it's in who's by your side when the dust settles. Folks, in Hollywood, people might forgive a flop, but they don't easily forgive a wrong word. Mel Gibson was once a multi-million-dollar star, an icon for an entire generation. But in one drunken night, with a leaked recording, everything changed forever. From the throne of cinema, he plummeted into the depths of being shunned. What's remarkable isn't that Mel lost it all, it's how he refused to stay down. Can a man the world turned its back on reclaim his place through sheer talent? At the height of his fame, Mel Gibson was Hollywood's untouchable icon, but in a single moment, it all came crashing down. In 2006, Mel was arrested for drunk driving in Malibu. During the stop, he unleashed a tirade laced with anti-Semitic remarks, a shocking moment not just for the words, but because they came from the man who directed The Passion of the Christ. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Mel was dropped from multiple film projects, lost a role in Mad Max Fury Road, and was virtually blacklisted from Hollywood for nearly a decade. The blows kept coming. In 2010, his former girlfriend, Oksana Grigorieva, accused him of domestic violence. A leaked recording captured him shouting threats and insults. Mel was sentenced to 3 years of probation, ordered to pay $750,000, and forced to split assets with Oksana. The media branded him Hollywood's most dangerous man. That same year, his divorce from his first wife, Robin Moore, finalized after 31 years of marriage, with a settlement estimated at $400 million, one of the costliest divorces in entertainment history. To the public, Mel was no longer the screen hero but a symbol of downfall and instability. Yet, in his darkest days, Mel didn't vanish. He quietly nurtured Hacksaw Ridge, a war film about faith, sacrifice, and humanity. Released in 2016, it earned 6 Oscar nominations, 2 wins, and over $180 million in global box office revenue. Critics had to admit the talent was still there, even if the spotlight had dimmed. Mel once said, "I've been to the very bottom of shame, but it was there that I found a place to start again." Can a man who lost everything truly begin anew? Folks, Mel Gibson was once shunned by all of Hollywood, but in the end, what he's remembered for isn't the scandals, it's what he's left behind for the next generation. A director who never stopped pushing forward, a father who found peace again, a complex yet deeply inspiring figure. At 69 years old, Mel Gibson doesn't dominate the screen like he used to, but his influence still ripples through the film industry and beyond. After Hollywood turned its back on him, he picked himself up the hard way, making independent films, raising his own funds, writing scripts, and directing. In 1989, he founded Icon Productions, the company behind masterpieces like Braveheart and The Passion of the Christ films, hailed as redefining how stories of history and faith are told. Beyond filmmaking, Mel has quietly given back to the community. He's donated millions of dollars to Healing the Children, the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and Central American forest preservation projects totaling $500,000. This is a different Mel Gibson, less noisy, but steadfastly devoted. His artistic impact is undeniable. Braveheart stirred hearts with its themes of loyalty and freedom, while Hacksaw Ridge became a cinematic emblem of sacrifice and personal conviction. Mel proved that mistakes don't have to be the end, they can be the foundation for something greater. Despite his ups and downs, Mel Gibson is still writing his next chapter. The Resurrection of the Christ, the sequel to The Passion, is slated for release in 2026, promising a deeper look at faith and redemption. Nearing 70, Mel isn't living to reclaim fame, he's living to leave a lasting mark. And maybe that's his way of making amends. What do you think endures after a life full of controversy? Is Mel Gibson's legacy one worth remembering?